Have you ever been in a conversation that took off in a different direction? Or you're talking with a friend or a group of people and the conversation seems to get hijacked? Hi, today I want to talk about the importance of sticking to the topic at hand. We're all guilty of, well, many of us, I'll speak for myself, many of us are guilty of being in a conversation and sort of jumping in and with our thoughts and taking it in a different direction. So I want you to pay attention and really focus and listen to the speaker, and only speak when you feel it's your turn or you have something valuable to offer, or most importantly, that you can sense that the person is finished discussing what they wanted to discuss. For example, maybe you show up after a vacation and you say, "Hey, I went to the Bahamas and had a great time." And maybe you want to tell about your trip, but right away your friend jumps in, "Oh yeah, I went to the Bahamas last year and we went here and had a great time, and did you try that restaurant?" And before you know it, the other person is talking about the Bahamas. And that's what I call a conversational hijacker. It's very innocent. It happens a lot. So try to notice if this happens in your everyday conversation. One of the reasons we do this is many of us are not comfortable with silence. We feel we have to fill in the space. Maybe it's uncomfortable. But get comfortable with silence and just be patient and listen to the speaker. I want to talk about the importance of sticking to the issue. If we don't stick to the issue, we may make a quick decision without all of the information. We may escalate arguments and not complete the point that we wanted to make or come to the solution that we were looking to come to. For example, from my own life, my husband mainly keeps the garage clean and organized, and I take responsibility for the kitchen. So I was very interested in having space to park one car in the garage. So one night I said to my husband, "Oh, do you think you can clean the garage, or when are you going to get to organizing the garage so we can get a car in there?" And before he even answered or addressed my question, he said, "Well, what about the kitchen? That's messy." And I said, "We're not talking about the kitchen." And then that can escalate. "Well, you doing the garage, why do you care about the garage? Well, why do you care about the kitchen? Well, maybe we should hire someone to clean." Well, so what we need to do is approach our partner with the intent to discuss the topic we want to discuss. Maybe I should say, "Hey, Bob, I'd like to talk about the garage. I have some ideas. Are you interested in hearing my ideas?" And, what I'm set the foundation for your discussion. Otherwise, it can escalate. And I know I'm guilty of it. I have a book that I recently came across, a friend gave to me, Fierce Conversations. And there's one section on handling a topic and really probing into it. So I'll read the steps. There's 6 steps here. What is the most important thing you and I should be talking about? So if both of you know this and you have this perspective and you agree upon it, you can focus in on what you should be talking about. Let's just say one partner has a job offer in another state, and you want to talk about, should you take the job, should you move, what would it mean? So that's what you want to stick to. 2, describe the issue. What's going on relative to the topic at hand, to the move? Does it involve children's changing schools? Do you have to sell a house and move to a higher cost of living area? So you talk about all of the topics related to the one issue. Don't go off track and veer off track and maybe talk about relatives and why it didn't work out for somebody else who took a new job and moved to another city. So you describe the issue and what's going on relative to that issue. 3, How is this currently impacting you? Who or what else is being impacted? The emphasis is on the word current. So keep your partner focused on current impact and results. Sometimes we veer off into the past, we project into the future. In order to discuss an issue and get to the bottom of it and to hash it out and to come to a good decision, you want to focus on the current situation. And it's really important to probe your feelings. Sometimes we think we're just talking about something, we're analyzing it, we're looking for the facts, we're trying to make a decision intellectually. Look at the feelings, what's going on with the person. And sometimes you need to give more time for the feelings to surface. Sometimes they don't come out right away, so you need time. And that's another thing about when you hijack conversations, you have ideas flying everywhere, and you're just superficially jumping across the top. This is getting to the deeper levels of the issue. Number 4, if nothing changes, what are the implications? Say, for example, imagine it is a year later and nothing has changed. What is likely to happen? And if you're moving to a new city or taking a new job, what does that mean? What will that happen? Are you going to have better job mobility or progression or promotion potential if you move? Better opportunities professionally? Is it going to be better for the kids? Are you going to be uprooting and moving far away and leaving your family? When you consider these possible comments, what do you feel? So that's really important, your feelings. Our feelings are important in discussing and deciding. 5, how have you helped create this issue or situation? If someone says, I don't know, then ask, what would it be if you did know? Don't comment on the response other than to say, that's useful to recognize. Or I say, noted, and you move on. You don't take the conversation off in a different direction. Number 6, what is the ideal outcome? In any conversation where you need to make a decision or someone comes to you with a problem, you're talking about, well, what is the ideal outcome here? When this is resolved, what difference will that make? Ask, what else? Probe feelings. That's another thing we do. Sometimes we end conversations and we haven't really considered every aspect of it. Well, what else could be involved in this? What else? When you contemplate these possibilities, what do you feel? And number 7, what's the most potent step you can take to begin to resolve this issue? What exactly are you committed to do and when? When should I follow up with you? And that's another thing too. Sometimes we leave conversations and decisions hanging. Another part of this book I'd like to share is some of the situations where silence is important and silence is actually needed. Now, maybe you're guilty of some of these things. Okay. 1, interrupting by talking over someone else. Ooh, I'm really guilty on that one. When you interrupt or talk over someone else, you have just changed the conversation, you've hijacked it, you've actually taken focus onto yourself, and the person might lose their train of thought and never get to what they wanted to say. So interrupting is really something to look out for. Number 2, formulating your own response while someone is talking. I used to do this a lot, and now I often go in the direction of like, oh, I forgot what I was going to say, or, oh, give me a moment to compose what I want to say because I was listening to the other person and I wasn't formulating what I was going to say. And it makes me look a little flaky at times. 3, responding quickly with little or no thought. Have you ever formulated a sentence and you haven't even finished and someone's nodding their head and they're already speaking before you even finish, and 50% of the time you weren't going to conclude with what that other person thought. So there are a lot of assumptions are made when you formulate a quick response. 4, attempting to be clever, competent, impressive, charming, and so on. Sometimes our egos are at stake, and sometimes we want to appear in high esteem, high regard. Another guilty conversational faux pas, I guess you could say, is jumping in with the advice before an issue has been clarified. Again, jumping in and cutting off. It's kind of a little form of interrupting, jumping in too quickly. Another sign that indicates silence is needed is using a silence or break in the conversation to create a distraction by changing topics. Maybe ignoring somebody or just kind of looking away and having silence and distracting and then taking the conversation in another direction. Another thing to watch out for in our conversation is talking in circles, nothing new emerging. I am also guilty of that. Sometimes I don't write notes. I just talk freely, and I might repeat yourself. When you talk in circles, you repeat yourself, you waste time. Monopolizing the airspace. So try not to monopolize. In all of this conversation that we're talking about, it's important to listen and it's important to slow down. What I would say is focus on the issue, allow your partner to come to you with what's on their mind, and be patient. What are some of the successes that you have had and that you've noticed over time that you have changed about yourself that has worked? Please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day and make your marriage great.